Hi. So I've been offered this. It's a potter's wheel, and it's been here for something like 10 years apparently, and it's one of those projects that I think is awesome because boy is it a challenge. I mean, it's gonna be rusted, okay? So we're gonna take it to pieces, get it back to the lab and see what we can do. Got the case off, and as you can see, it's mostly the abode of snails and moss. So that is going to be a bit of a challenge. It's got his pulley belt here on this big wheel, drives this shaft here. Looks like that's just a rotary wheel pushing against this. That spring attachment attaches to the foot pedal right there, pulls against those springs, and it looks like it pulls this in and out with different tension against the flywheel, which clearly then rotates up against the potter's wheel there. So a very basic mechanism, but very dirty. Okay, so we got it to pieces, back to the lab, and it is quite a lump of rusty metal, but there's nothing really structural about it, to be honest. There's no rust-through holes. It is just dirt and a bit of surface rust and some cosmetics, which is great. Now here's the frame, and what we're going to do obviously is clean it, because the bulk of this stuff is cleaning. We're going to clean it with the magical miracle cleaning solution, which remember is vinegar, salt and washing up liquid, and we just get some of that on there and give it a scrub with a white brush. Okay, so there's the frame all cleaned up and repainted, and it's a nice solid sturdy frame. Now time to get on with the other bits. If we look at the baseboard, the bit that went here it is, and that is completely rotten and ruined. So I need a new piece of blockboard to replace that, but I can use this as a template. So let's get a new piece of blockboard.
How about there,
Okay, this is what the top timbers look like. They're a bit of a mess, but let's see what we can do with a bit of sanding and a bit of effort and care. Okay, this bit's a mess. It's got these splits, they won't glue. They're we're going to warp even further. I've been drying them for a while. Standard thing for me actually is I collect a whole load of the sawdust from the material that I'm working on, mix it with a bit of resin, add some hardener, and use that as the filler. Now you can use glue. Okay, and that's it finished. I mean, this was a mess when I brought it in. I'm particularly pleased with the wood. 10 years in the garden, that's come up beautifully. Obviously, they chose a wood that was really resistant. Anyway, the potter's wheel is all done. All I'm really sort of worrying about or thinking about right now is the drive, because of course we've been doing lots of things on pedal power. A potter's wheel would be ideal for pedal power, but I do have that motor to refurbish. I'll look at the motor, I'll have a think about it, not 100% sure. But the potter's wheel refurbishment is done. Now this is a really beautiful piece of kit. The fittings on this were chunky bits of bronze. The wood is obviously extremely high quality. Turntable here is a massive lump of cast iron. We've got this great big flywheel at the bottom. Really a lovely thing, and it's one of those things I'm really pleased at having restored, because it's one of those things equally your average Joe is going to look at that and go, hey, that's fit for the bin, and yet we've been able to So I finished cleaning everything else, and the motor that we did in a separate video is just here, and I did that as a separate video because it was a bit more complicated. The rest of it really was just to clean. Now we have to fit things back, and fitting things back actually is a bit of a piece of cake because there isn't that much. First thing is the drive pulley, and that fits in here. Then we have the fork selector and the foot pedal and the switch, and that's all there is to it. So let's get on and refit that drive pulley. So there it is, all cleaned up, put back together, and slightly less snails and spiders. Everything's nicely free spinning at the moment, so everything moves. We've tested the motor works. This slides up and down like it should, and the only things I have to do really is to put the switch on. Now in the video where we cleaned the motor, we tested that motor so we know it works. So we put the switch on, put the side panels on, and then give it a go. And there it is, all wired up. Now rewiring actually is just the reverse of how you did it when you took it to pieces, so a photograph of the inside of the switch always helps. Anyway, it's wired up, ready to go, let's turn it on. Isn't that awesome? Okay, all we've got to do is put the side plates on and push it back into position. Get the shiny, bright and lovely and working as well as it did on the day it came out of the factory. I think that's awesome, and you learn such a lot by doing something like that, that we can always now repair this and keep it running, so it's going to be something that you have for the rest of your life, basically. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with something like this. I mean, I probably will give it a go making some pots, but is anybody who lives around in the area wants to come along and have a go at setting up a pottery arm of FWG? Feel free, there's a potter's wheel and a kiln right here. But it is a awesome thing, really, and I guess the moral of the story is don't be too ready to give up on things, even when they look like they're fit for the bin, and I guess that counts for people too, I don't know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.